Hello everyone, hiya, welcome back to this channel. So I am Fola Shade. For those that don't know, I'm sure a few of you guys know me by now, and I am interested in talking about everything that has to do with studying in the UK, higher education in the UK, getting a job after your degree, and all the fun stuff, obviously, and how to get through your degrees as well. So just anything and everything. And please continue to send me messages, questions, and let's see how we can help each other. Okay, so for today, I have few questions. So I met with someone. I will try not to give out any information that will identify the person, but I just thought some of my one-to-one sort of like personal meeting with people and questions that are being asked can actually be valuable to everyone else. Somehow, I don't know, people just seem to not like sometimes when you propose, like, can we do this? So I record it or maybe do sort of like an online stream, and it's like, nah. So I thought I still would like to share some of the questions and the responses that I have for them, so somebody else that need it can sort of like gain from it, and hopefully I won't have to answer the same question over and over and over again. Anyway, so I'm just gonna I have the questions all penned down here in my book, so I'm just gonna go through them. So they are not some of them are not, it's not really like a linear, they're just, people ask questions as it comes to their mind. So this person asked me this question, and it's as it sort of like sprung into their mind. So excuse me. So the first question here says that publish or perish. Now the the genesis of this conversation is I was talking with the person around public health, no, not public health, sorry, around studying in the UK, and the whole conversation about PhD, what get job you will get, joining academia as an academic. And so the person asked me about publish or perish. So the person is concerned about if they don't publish enough articles, they will perish in terms of their academic growth and the rest. So my answer to that is that's not true, and I did tell the person it's not true. You don't have to publish or you would perish. That's not the case. However, the more you publish, definitely the better for you. It puts your name out there. It helps you apply for promotion, and it also helps you with funding and all the good stuff that come with academic life. However, it doesn't mean if you don't do that, you would not progress at all. Some people, different people, and you sort of like work with your strengths. So some people, their strength is in teaching, and so you will see them doing innovative and really fantastic things around teaching and the learning and pedagogical approaches, and just really good stuff in terms of teaching. Some people are administrative stuff, so you will see them doing more around administrative tasks and really being useful in that realm. So they are going on to be maybe program lead, head of department, dean, and the rest of that. So you could also go through just being a fantastic lecturer without necessarily having research backing. Of course, not having any research backing is not encouraged, because then that slows the progress, but that doesn't mean you will perish if you don't do that. And in some university, you don't even have to show interest. If you're not really interested in progressing, you just teach, take your salary, go home, and all is well and good. So I'm going to quickly move on to the next question, which is lecturers pay in the UK. This is a fun one. So the person is really interested in, if I finish doing my PhD and I get a job, how much am I going to be paid? And this is a valid question, and I think you should obviously ask yourself if it's worth it. It's an investment of years of your life. Like the way I always say, it takes years. And so, is it worth, wherever position you are right now, is it worth leaving that to sort of like pursue this? Now, for pay, it depends on the university, and you will see there are different ranges in terms of how much is being paid. But I'm just going to say, on an average, for entry level into lecturing, don't quote me, you would be looking somewhere around £30,000. per year, not per month. Because I said it and the person was like, per month. I'm like, ooh, I wish that was the case. I'll be a billionaire pretty soon. But no, per year. Yeah, so per year, per annum, that's how your contract is going to be written in terms of the salary scale. Now that depends also on if your university is within London or outside London, and also if it's like a really big university. There are some Russell Group university, or there are even some universities that are not Russell Group but they pay really well. I'm not really sure entirely how the decision on the payment plan sort of work, but I know some university for almost the same role you would be significant, maybe five to almost even £10,000 difference to another university. But obviously, I think that would also come with responsibilities in terms of what you'll be doing in the university that pays more. But anyway, so universities in London do pay more. They pay a little bit higher than universities outside London, and that is given the fact that London have a lot of expenses, accommodation for one, and so many other not so fun things that happen in London that takes away your money. So there's a little bit more being paid in London. So I would say roughly around 30,000. But for London, you can be expecting maybe towards 35,000 to 37, and they would add London waiting sometimes, and that can take you all the way to like maybe close to 40,000. If you're a senior lecturer, that also adds to it. You might be going around 45 to 47,000. Some senior lecturer get up to 50 and even 50, close to 55. Associate prof, you are getting somewhere around close to 60, and just all the way to as much as some positions are getting up to 100,000 and more. But obviously it's not just a one night thing, right? So it's a career progression that takes you all the way to those places. So hopefully you have an idea, like within 30 to 35,000, is it worth it for you to make that decision? Obviously, academic life sort of like gives you a bit more in terms of you can do other things, you can just do some personal stuff that might give you more income. The next question is about keeping religion. So this person is concerned about their religion and the choices that if they make this choice, sorry, would that impact on them as in terms of how they practice? One thing I would say is UK does respect religion. Employers, you are not allowed to discriminate against anyone. Visibly and structurally, you're not allowed to put any structural discriminatory policy in place in your company. So you're not allowed to dictate how someone dresses, except if it's a uniform job, like maybe nursing, police, and the rest of that. So you will expect a certain dress code, but that doesn't mean you can't use your if you're Muslim, you can't use your hijab like I'm doing. I use this to class and anywhere else. No one's ever stopped me, and no one will anyway, because you're just in the UK. And if you're wearing anything else, just anything else, that should not be an issue. I believe also most places, especially in academia, would provide places for you to go and pray. The thing is, obviously, if you have a class when it's time for prayer, you can't leave your class. That's obviously not appropriate in that regard. But you can obviously go immediately after your class to say your prayer and be back to class. And also for Christians, I know they have chaplaincy rooms where you could have fellowship, some services. So long story short, don't be concerned about religion when it comes to being in academia in the UK. I hope that answers that for those that are interested in that. Now, best health degree to study. So this person would like to know what is the best health degree to study, because the person is interested in health and how that would translate into getting a job. So when it comes to health, any degree that has a professional sort of like relationship with the NHS, with the trust, is something that would really be it would sell in terms of employment. So we're talking about courses around nursing is one really hot one, occupational therapy is a good one, midwifery, just OT, the ambulance services people. I don't know what, I can't remember what they call them. And obviously with nursing, there are so many types. You have the mental health, the child, the adults, and even child with mental health, child with adults with mental health. And so there are so many schools, and they split them all differently. All of those courses are in high demand because they have a professional standing in the trust. So there's always need for most of those courses. So that's when it comes to health. It doesn't mean other courses don't sell or don't have prospects, but it's just that those ones have prospects, especially when you're looking at undergraduate degree for those courses. For postgraduates, it's a bit different because if you've done your PhD, for example, it would not be as in high demand in the NHS as someone that has done BSc in nursing, right? If you do a PhD in nursing, you would not, because NHS is not academic environment. So that's just something to keep in mind. Getting to teach as you walk, right? So this person, you remember that I'm going to be doing series. I've started series depending on how I get on that one, but I've started my series on PhD and everything that has to do with entry into the PhD program, and doing the PhD and also completing a job prospect, all of that. That's sort of like my plan to go all the way. I don't know how long it will take me, but I hope to run through all aspects of PhD. So, but anyway, very briefly, the prospect of teaching, it depends on the university. So there are some universities that do require academic help, and so as you're in your PhD program, you will be asked to teach in the department that you're studying at. So there are some universities. In fact, if you have a stipend, if you have a what's that thing called? Yeah, it's stipend, but studentship. So if you have a studentship scholarship, actually, some of them, part of the conditions is that you will be willing to take up some teaching role. But this is not completely for every university. There are some universities, they are well saturated and they do not solicit support from PGRs or PhD students. So what I would advise is obviously check the university once you enter. You might not necessarily know before you enter if they require support or not, but once you enter, you most likely would find out. My advice is, irrespective of if you have support for teaching or not, in terms of payment and all, volunteer for it if there isn't a paid or option, because it would help you. Most PhD graduates that contact me are like, Paula, I'm looking for a job, and it's like most of them, they have absolutely zero experience, and that really impacts on significantly on how you get a job. So if you're going to sacrifice few hours, do some out teaching, do throughout your program for free, so you can actually have a prospect of really good prospect of getting a job at the end of the day. I don't think that's too much of a sacrifice for your future. So please, even if it's not paid in the university that you're in, volunteer, push hard to make sure that you get into teaching before you finish your program. So studying and working. So this person's asked about studying and working. Yes, you can study and you can work as you study, but the thing is, legally you are given certain hours as an international student, and you're not supposed to exceed that hours. Now anything that happens outside you exceeding outside that hours is not something I'm going to talk about, but I'm just going to specifically say you can work and you can legally work within certain hours, and that's where I would leave that. Now this person says to break down income. Breaking down income, like I said, if you're going to be paid roughly around 30 to maybe 40 pounds if you're around London, or yeah, somewhere 30 to maybe 37 to or so pounds, might not necessarily be up to 40 pounds as entry level. If in London, obviously outside London, it might be maybe 35, 34 ish in terms of how much you get paid. You would be taking off house accommodation, which is like the chunk of what takes away money anyway. Is a small place, depending on a room and parlor or a studio flat, can cost you close to maybe 300 to 500. No, did I say 300? Sorry, scratch that. I wish that was the case. That might cost you close to a 800 to maybe £1,000, depending on how big the place is. So taking away that, oh, you also have to pay tax from that 35 to £40,000. And so that I think I'm going to do a video and just show you the actual breakdown of this. So because this video is getting quite long, and I really, yeah, I think I should wrap it up. So I will do a video on breakdown of salary, cost, and how much you might have in your bank account at the end of the month. That'll be interesting. Prospect, tier two prospect. So for international student, you do have a good prospect. Hopefully, if you've completed your PhD, because I'm talking in the context of PhD, and you want to work in academia, you do have good prospects. It's not confirmed or certain, but it's with the hope that you would have done the best that you can, gain skills that you can use to, and that's why I said volunteer if needed for teaching, that you can use to apply. Most time when you apply, you don't need to know anyone in the job that you've applied for. All you have to do is apply. If you're qualified, if they like you in terms of your skills and ability to do the job, they would give you. You don't need to, there's no I know A or B in this case. So and in academia they are very willing, I believe, to give tier 2 sponsorship than maybe even other environments. So just to say that ILR prospects. Now this person is asking, like, when you get a job, how, like, what's the prospect of to get to ILR. ILR is the indefinite leave to remain, which means you can stay in the UK or in the country that you're in for as long as yeah, permanent residency. When you get your job, if you finish your PhD, for example, and you get a tier 2 sponsorship, you, or even other courses, people get tier 2 sponsorship from master's program. It doesn't have to be PhD, but I'm talking in context of PhD. So when you finish and you get a tier 2 sponsorship, that tier 2 is going to start from year 0, right? And that would require for you to be on that sponsorship for 5 years. So some jobs will give you all the 5 years at once, and some will give you maybe split it into maybe 2.5 or 3 years, and then give you the rest, depending on the policy in that company or that organization. But you will be on it for 5 years, and after 5 years, you would then transfer onto the ILR. So after 5 years on your tier 2, you go onto ILR, and that means that you can remain in the UK indefinitely. You don't need anyone to sponsor you after that, and you don't need any you don't need any job, you don't need any organization. So that way you can easily make your move, decide to go from this university to that university, to, or even be self-employed or whatever, because you don't need such sponsorship. And requirements as a lecturer. So this last question, this is a long video. Last question, the requirements as a lecturer. I think the main requirement is that here in the UK, there's more emphasis on experience more than qualifications. So although you would have a PhD and you feel like, oh my God, you still have to have that experience. And that's why the easiest place to get the experience is while you're studying as a PhD student. So try and grab that. Once you have that, you have the skills, you publish papers. I always encourage that, and I think I'm going to talk about that more in my PhD series, how to publish paper, how to publish your PhD while you're doing your PhD, and present at conferences, because those are the things that you will pile onto your CV to sort of like sell yourself. Anyway, so these are the questions that I got from this person. It was actually quite a long discussion, very in-depth. I've tried to summarize my responses here because it was over, almost an hour or two. I think it was close to 2 hours of talking about all of this. So anyway, this is the end of this video, right? And I will see you on the next one. Remember, this is your channel dedicated to everything that has to do with higher education, international students, and just making the best of your time in the UK. Okay, if you like this, please thumbs up, share, follow, subscribe, and do all the good stuff. Anyway, I have to go now. So thank you so very much, and I will see you in another video. Bye bye.